episode 24, June 26th.
You gotta look at the screen though. Let people know that you're here for them.
2018.
I'm here for you. We'll swing into this
We
guy.
got Chris from First Street Surf Shop.
First Surf Shop. We took the street out for a reason. We didn't want to be pigeonholed into just a street.
There's
So we thought
ST right
First
there.
Surf
It says
Shop.
ST.
First,
That's
as in
first.
one ST. First.
High school dropout. Sorry.
If you ain't first, you're last. Wait a minute. There's still second. There's third. There's fourth.
Very true.
Wow, this is a very interesting
we have
kickoff
Brad
to the show.
from ThankYouSurfing.
This is the beautiful part about this is that we're
Aloha.
throwing Brad so off right now.
I
He's,
know.
Yeah, I like
for
it.
the
It's
rest
good.
of this,
The
he's like,
wrong
I don't even know
day.
where to go with
We
this.
have Caleb behind the scenes.
On the AV skills.
Yes,
Over
very
here where you
important.
can't see me.
And we have a studio audience of a large amount.
347 people.
Put your shirt back on. Come on!
I mean,
Kids out here.
a little nutty in here already. We're in South Beach.
I'm gonna
South
put a
Beach.
giant crowd in there and post.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
South Beach, Miami.
Yeah.
It'd be funny to have like you can kind of superimpose little people in front of us, like on the front. And
You
just
do.
I mean, I could do the
Oh,
audio.
shadows?
cartoon, like cartoon
Oh,
characters.
cartoon
yeah.
shadows. Yeah, we can get
So-
like all the peanuts.
What, I
Weekly
mean, you don't have
haps.
to. You don't have to run through the whole thing. We're gonna go
Okay.
run through it as we go.
Okay.
But you are right. Today is June 26th.
That's right.
It is episode 24.
Okay, good.
And we are in South Beach, Miami,
Yeah.
at One First Surf Shop.
Yes.
True.
I
I'm
tried.
Christian de la Iglesia from First Surf Shop, as well as Division Wynwood.
I'm Brad Wells from ThankYouSurfing and repeat guest.
First
Rudy
one.
Duboue.
I mean, this
from
is not
Rudy
even
Duboue
It's just-
.com and
Yeah.
life in
Everything.
general.
at hashtag.com, etc.
He's a Renaissance man, if you will. He is a phenomenal photographer.
Thank you.
You are a great entrepreneur of mental levels. I mean, you are just, I love the conversations that we get into. We just,
Thank you,
We
thank
banter.
you.
We just explore.
Yeah, we
And that's
go
why I'm
deep.
excited that you're here. You literally just pulled up like 5 minutes before we
Yeah.
started this. Bradley and I were sitting here, we're like, so let's finish off our topic. So we had a guest that was supposed to come, but unfortunately couldn't make it. Aubrey Koenig will get you next time of Kakoa.
I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah, it's such good. And he was saying maybe him and Dewey, which Dewey was one of my mentors at Quicksilver, and both those guys are people I work with at Quicksilver. They're starting their stuff out in Hawaii, and it's a collective space that wraps jiu-jitsu, surfing, and yoga together.
Oh, look at this guy.
And it's phenomenal. They just do a lot of communal stuff. They have an area where there's a mat for whether it's yoga classes or jiu-jitsu rolling that they just have other people that are instructors bring people there and they don't even charge them. And it's almost
Killer.
like free classes.
Beautiful.
So they've created quite the movement out in Hawaii. So amped and stoked on them. We were supposed to have Aubrey on here. Hopefully we can get them both on here at some point. But
I would love to be here for that.
not
Sounds
mad to
great.
have Rudy on here. We're
Good.
rolling
Yeah,
in.
I know.
the
This is
last
like the
minute.
second official episode, but you
Yeah.
also came as a
Yeah.
special guest another time.
photography one.
Yeah, when Lou was on.
I slipped in
So
on that one.
yeah.
Snuck it in. I smelled it from
Little
my apartment.
sneaker.
Something was going down.
So-
I didn't like it.
Here he is again, Rudy on the show.
All right. Good.
Weekly happenings. 4th of July weekend coming up. I mean, it's 4th of July week because 4th of July is on Wednesday next
Right,
week.
right. And is it weird that I don't know this time of year in the summer? I go blank for things to do. Like it's the summer. There's no waves. I'm not on a trip, of which I will be next week.
Fucking
kind of
stupid.
that.
Oh, wait, that's a weekly happening.
It's kind of next week's happening, but I don't know if we're going to be happening next week.
We'll figure that out.
All right, we're figured out. I travel to Costa Rica.
What's your
You're-
trip? What are you doing?
I'm
right
doing
now?
Costa Rica from about the 5th to the 10th.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, come on down. Let's do this.
I'm
trying
going to
to-
be on the other coast.
California?
Over the pond.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You'll be in France.
Yeah, I'll be in France, and then I go to Greece, then I go back to France.
Sounds like you're going to have a horrible summer.
I leave Thursday.
I'm sorry for you.
I know.
Wow, that was quick. Touch and go.
Touch and go.
Just got back from California.
Yeah.
Here to enjoy some of the seaweed water we got.
I'm looking forward
What
to
other
leading
weekly haps?
into
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna go to the show. out
Yep. Tomorrow I leave out to California for the Agenda trade show that they do twice a year.
So, as a newbie to this whole like retail thing, it is really interesting hanging out at the shop so much and learning what goes into this. So I'm actually pretty interested to hear what you guys come back with.
I mean, it's a production. It really is. I mean, with retail and anybody that's done it, at least surf retail, you're picking products 6 months in advance. You know, and you're dealing with dollar amounts that you are figuring that you have averages that you're going off of. So you can imagine, like, if you're a new store, what sort of challenges you have. You're like, I don't know what my average is going to look like. I don't even know what my buys are supposed to look like. And you could either overbuy or you could underbuy. And be like, oh, there's missed opportunities. And you should take notes along the way so that the following year you're like, oh, this is what I have to correct.
What a weird perspective that is, because you would say, like, okay, well, you buy merchandise based off things that you like, but you also have to look into it.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but
is
you also have to
don't buy
into
stuff
it.
because of what you like.
That's what I'm saying. You have to look into it also as a business and like what is selling.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that I've always told people, and that should be understood. You're not.
The market
It's hard
dictates
because you have
who
people
you are.
that, well, you have people that are tastemakers and stuff like that know style and know things that work and whatever. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it translates into what's going to resonate with everybody out there.
Sometimes you get too far ahead of it too. So it's like, oh, you're fashionable 2 years from now.
Oh,
fantastic.
I
That's
always
not
say
going to
that.
sell. You
I
know?
have that
Easily.
issue in my industry as well. You could be ahead of the curve, where you could be bringing stuff here that people just don't catch on yet,
Right.
or you could be
It happens
really
with
late.
technology a
Well,
lot.
perfect example is before I started First Surf Shop, my business partner Mark had another shop called Univ, and Univ is huge in California, and they kill it. And it's more of a streetwear brand. They carry the hundreds and all that other stuff. And California, awesome. Here, when they opened it, tanked.
Flat.
And
get it.
they just broke even, and it wasn't there yet. Like, I imagine that if that same concept happened in Wynwood right now, kill it
Yeah.
because of
Good timing.
the contacts they had, and this is timing, and it's just like some places just aren't ready for what it is that you have to offer.
That's
so
it.
you have to be open, honest about what you're doing to kind of regulate that. But yes,
I'm also a big fan of you could kind of train a little bit your viewers or your I don't know,
for customers?
You could kind of
Yeah,
like
it's an
you could
education.
slowly. I always say I have a certain type of brand. Right? I know my brand and I know what sells. But I am not the same person I was a year ago, so I can't do the same thing. I don't feel comfortable doing the same thing. So I slowly started evolving. Welcome.
Welcome.
We've got
We
more
got some.
audience members walking in. I start slowly evolving, and then my brand starts evolving. And you don't want to take it to a point where people start losing touch of who you are. It's a weird dance there.
Right.
It's a weird dance.
it absolutely is, and it's pertinent to your location, your
Yeah.
area. Like,
Yeah. Sucks. I hate that.
For us, it's one of those things where before I started this, I was with Quicksilver for a little while. So, and you do reports, and that's one of the perks of the reports that we took was I got to understand my local economy.
Yeah.
On what was selling and what wasn't. So I literally just, when I opened this up, I took the top 3 categories that Quicksilver sold great at and said, that's what we're going to run things with.
Yeah.
And it was board shorts, t-shirts, sandals. And being this close to the beach, it's really easy
Makes
to do those
sense.
things because those are purchases that don't involve a lot of emotion or thought into it. So the emotion we create is between the brand and their message and how it is that we display them. But it doesn't necessarily mean that
Thanks for coming by, folks.
It's how deep we actually buy into their brand. And so it's a challenge that 6 months in advance that you're looking at stuff and
That's
you're
the
saying,
hard,
and
crazy hard
more so
part.
that you're looking at a couple different brands, right?
Yeah.
So in your mind, you're saying, okay, I've got X amount of dollars to spend every month because this is what it's been trending for year over year on what we sell. And then within that, you have categories, right? You have t-shirts, you have wovens, you have shorts, you have sandals, and they take X percentage, and you go ahead and say, well, I've either, and this is where you, like if you work the shop every day, you know whether something's been strong or not. And you take your little notes and you say, well, I only did X amount of dollars or purchased X amount of dollars this year in sandals, but I've seen a really major slowdown. Maybe I've got to go ahead and drop that down. What avenues did I see pick up a little bit? And then sometimes at the end of the day, it's a calculated risk, and you're like, I'm going to do a gamble.
Yeah.
I remember when Mark and I first started, our women's section was really small. And we'd have this battle because I'm like, oh, we got to invest a little bit more money in women's and stuff like that. And he'd be like, dude, women's just isn't doing anything for us. I don't understand. I'm like, well, you got to have enough of it in order to see whether or not it's going to do something.
That's the hard
or not.
part to know,
Right,
too.
and that's a hard thing because it's like, imagine that you have to, it's a joint effort, but at the same time, you're saying, I don't know whether this is going to be better or not, but I won't know unless I actually devote money to it. But what I'm taking it from that's actually making me money, am I potentially setting myself up for a really crappy situation? And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And that's kind of there's so many variables, and there's so much of a crapshoot that goes into it that, for some, find it a challenge and really enjoy it. For others, it becomes,
Pretty hard.
a mental breakdown of situations
Yeah,
where you're
it's
just
tough.
like, I can't, it's a lot.
For sure.
And then you throw in small little variables. Like currently we're having to deal with the fact that the parking lot across the street from us is closed, and that takes up 80% of the parking.
There's another
that people
weekly
have.
happening. So weekly happenings, we've got agenda coming up, the whole buying season,
Right.
and also parking issues locally.
Right, and we've had that parking issue since May 1st, and we've seen that for the first time coming into May, we were up 23% versus last year for the first time in 4 years, and we were amped. We're like, yes, coming into a slow season, and then coming into an even slower season, we're like, yes, this should help us out. And then the lack of parking just decimated us, just crushed us to the point that now we are at zero of any sort of profit versus last year or the year before. But every year we've lost money. So if I start to lose, that means I'm losing on top of losing, on top of losing, on top of losing. So you could understand how sometimes that's stressful.
This is a very depressing weekly
That's
happening.
what it is.
God, Chris, you're killing me, bro.
And this is there's an upside to it. Where there's necessity,
There we go.
breeds creativity.
Aha.
And that's how you truly get ahead of the pack. Where
You're
you
absolutely
hunker
right.
down and you're like, how the fuck do I power through this? Because everybody would fold.
Right.
The majority
Right.
would say, oh, I can't do this.
He's right about
And
that.
that's the masses.
And you're absolutely right. And that in turn pushes things that we're doing here with our Thank You Surfing and what we do.
Collaborations,
Where
teamwork.
it's the understanding that, okay, well, I've got to rely on my locals and I got to rely on the people around me. So I've got to create engaging moments, whether it's the party that we did for International Surf Day or other festivities that we get to do, or even these things that, it's not as if this garners us like thousands of people watching that they're all flushing in here, but I think it maintains who we are. It maintains that realness and saying
That's
that,
the most important part.
Right,
And
that's
it's fun.
authentic.
We're
Right.
doing it because it's fun.
Yeah.
We like doing this.
Right.
We would be here doing this whether there is
Mics or no mics.
mics or no
Right,
mics.
right.
The reason we have mics is because people told us like we
can't hear
like to hear you banter about this
Right.
crap.
Also, they couldn't hear you.
So it's that's
So
the
if
whole
you don't
thing.
catch us on live, you can catch us Thank You Surfing on YouTube,
Yep.
of which we have all of our episodes up there, and they are
can
beautifully.
we commit to actual podcasts?
All right, so that's another weekly happenings.
Yes.
Oh, Caleb, you're killing me, bro.
Ah, got him.
All right, so in my career, I try to advise people well about the things that they should and shouldn't do. One of the things that these folks have been kind of pushing for is for this little thing to go further and like go as like a full podcast, iTunes, Android, I mean the whole bit. And so Caleb, I think finally has pushed me to the breaking point, and we're gonna
Yes.
next week go out there with all of our episodes on iTunes.
That's the plan.
Bringing the push.
Yeah, so we're going full podcast, all 23, come 24 episodes.
24
Are you
this
on
one.
YouTube?
We're gonna drop them all
Yeah,
on
right.
there.
We're on
Yeah,
YouTube,
right.
and
We're
so
on
we guys.
YouTube now,
Yeah,
but
so
if
like
you
if you
wanna-
guys are watching us on Instagram or on Facebook, we'll always do this because it's fun. Like that's how we started.
Yes.
But you're not YouTube live. No.
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 They do YouTube live?
It goes up on.
Oh
yeah,
God!
you
Don't.
can.
Oh,
But
that-
we're
next
not
next
going to.
week. Next week. Next
We're
week.
not gonna.
No, we will. No, we
Okay,
will.
It has
eventually,
to.
maybe.
No, we'll do. We're gonna be on every.
So
don't know how
are
to
you
do
telling me
that
that
yet.
eventually I can go ahead and just say, Alexa, play me Thank You Surfing,
Oh yeah, for sure.
episode 22?
Like
Or
next week.
Siri. Or Siri.
Like
Or
next
Siri.
week, that's
Fine,
going down.
Siri.
Yeah.
My phone's going off now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we are
check on my
doing
phone.
that next week, and so we may not have an episode next week, which is
We're,
gonna
we're
throw
all traveling. 4th of July. I'll be in Costa. You'll be in
New York, and you're gonna be in the mountains
Colorado.
of Colorado.
In the Rocky Mountains.
So
Rocky Mountain High.
we may we may come back second week in July.
When are you going to New York?
I'll be there Friday through the 4th.
Oh, dude, we're all out of town.
Yeah.
So short little stint to see the family.
Little touch and go.
It's be very very nice to see my family up there. So
Went to beach a little bit. Upper East Side.
there could be some
Some surf. Yeah.
could be could be.
Yes.
Report and forecast. Oh, actually got a couple things to talk about.
On surf?
Yeah.
Get out of
So,
I started a new Instagram. Thank you, seaweed.
Yeah. So there is that to talk about. In the whole Caribbean,
That's a good one.
there is a
I wanted to start your
problem.
welcome surfing, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
There is a problem, or well, I don't know if it's a problem, but it is a situation, a challenge of sargassum.
Seaweed.
Sargassum coming up on many of the Caribbean beaches, more so than we've seen.
Sounds like you said orgasm.
Well, there's actually two ways to pronounce it. Sargasso and sargassum.
Right. I always do sargasso and I drop the M.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about right now. I thought we were talking
Seaweed
about
that's out
seaweed,
there.
and then you're talking about
It's
orgasms.
a type of seaweed.
It's a type
Bless
of
his
seaweed.
heart. He's so cute. He really is.
It's
So-
hard? What
Oh,
the fuck
jeez.
is going on here?
Where's this conversation
Lord
going? Are we
of
talking about
mercy.
surfing? I don't even
So-
know.
Occupational hazard.
There is a lot of that shit coming in these days, and it looks to
Dude,
not stop.
on the last podcast of last week, Joe Spy had said that it was all the way up in Melbourne as well. So it's literally down from here all
Did
the
you
way
say
up.
Joe Spy?
Oh yeah, we'll get it.
Is that like his real name?
No, actually, it's not.
That's his
And he
alias.
calls himself Joe Spy.
But the
Yeah.
thing is that he's a government contractor engineer of
of
sorts.
course.
Well,
And-
don't bring too much attention to the
don't tell
situation.
too much.
I hope
God.
you have secrets.
So
to
the
yourself
report and
about.
forecast back, a lot of seaweed these days around all the Caribbean. I mean,
Well,
that's a
how do
whole
you-
other one.
But and I've seen so many arguments about it. Like, why can't the city clean it up? This is horrible. This is going to drive tourism away. And at the end of the day, yeah, it smells
That
bad
shit
and this
sucks.
and that and whatever. But
Yeah, but it reminds me of like people in the Northeast being like, "Oh my god!" If we took all the people from South Florida and brought them to the Northeast, and then in the fall all the trees lost their leaves, they'd be like, "Oh my god, these trees have lost their leaves."
someone get some glue. Let's put those leaves back.
Someone needs to do something
I
about
know.
this.
And that's the thing that drives me
It's
crazy because you're like,
insane.
if you went in the water and you saw all the sargassum, whatever, singing out there, you would see tarpon
Orgasms.
hanging out.
Yeah,
you would
it's
go and
sick.
see all these
So
different
cool.
microorganisms and just different animals that there's this whole ecosystem that's revolved around it. So it's like, why would you want to kill that ecosystem?
If you
You know.
paddle a board out there, even though it's completely flat, and grab a handful of that and throw it on the board, it'll be like crawling with all kinds of stuff.
Awesome
It's
stuff.
And then,
It's so
when
cool.
it's on
Yeah.
the shoreline and things
So
kind
come
of
rent the
die out
board
and
just for
whatnot,
that.
you have a lot of the county people that are kind of just crushing this stuff and breaking it into the sand.
That's good.
But there's a positive to that because that helps with erosion. Because it helps strengthen our beach nonetheless. So these things, both in the water and on the shoreline, actually serve a purpose. Sure, aesthetically it might not look good, and it smells horrible when it dries out.
like the smell, actually.
And,
It's kinda
and then
cool,
when you
you
go in
know?
the water,
That's
it's not
the
fun.
ocean.
And yes, but for
All right,
couple months that you have to deal with
You know,
it.
I don't even want to give this like any credit right now. We'll get to it when like the city starts freaking if we get like a real inundation, and then we'll have to like do something about it.
Oh,
The
there
thing
is
that I want-
possibilities to do something with it. You could turn it into mulch.
Okay, fine.
Fine, I'm
We've been
just
talking
saying.
about this for weeks.
I know.
I want to talk about the possible storm that's going to go off the Carolinas and maybe turn into a tropical system.
What?
Can we talk about that?
Coming south?
Yes.
Oh,
I guess it's a surf show.
All
might
of a
as well.
sudden, people don't want to care so much about seaweed. Yeah, that's what I'm
Still
talking about.
Surf in Miami.
So yeah, that's true. Actually, it's not probably gonna do anything down here. But the point is that there is a low that is forecast by many of the models, European, GFS, all coming up with varying intensities of something about to come off the coast. If it sits off there long enough, we can get a little throwback swell here. More likely, the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, gonna see something over the next weekend. But look.
What are the chances on all this? And is there anything that could potentially just kill that?
I mean,
Like another system of some sorts out in the water.
all right, so I'm going to New York on Friday evening, and
I see what you're doing here. You're going to be able to enjoy some of this surf. You're putting out the forecast.
fly with your
and you're
board? You
putting
have
out the
boards
good
over
juju.
there.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, I'm surfing and you're not.
No, I'm saying that I'm probably going to wind up spending time with my family and watching like a 3-foot windswell go unridden by me. That's more likely the scenario. However,
Thanks,
if it-
Mom.
I love it. I mean, come on. I surf all the time. I don't get to see my family that much.
Surf all the time?
Dude,
Are we still in Miami?
let's move into the next thing, which is
Our show. This is our show.
Yeah.
These next 3 topics is our show for tonight. We worked tirelessly
for at
for
least
a long time.
12 to 17 minutes.
It was 12 to 17 minutes. And then Rudy came up and rounded it out, and we said, hey, looks like we got a show. So let's do this.
Yep.
Pretty much how all these shows go on. Literally, the last 3 minutes, you're like, so should we do this? Shouldn't we do this? Should we do this? Shouldn't we do this?
You may think
Let's
there's a
just do
big
it.
team of writers behind this.
Surprisingly, there's not. I know. It weirds you out. I get it all the time. I mean, I don't, we've been asked to potentially push this show onto some other venues.
Major networks.
Major networks, the Beach Channel.
Topic number 1.
Tina Fey, stop calling me. Seriously. I mean, I'm interested, but I'm not interested.
Vince Vaughn, I will not honor your cease and desist.
Is she hot?
Yeah. Anyway, the topic 1 for tonight, I should say, is how and why you become a regular.
Anywhere.
Like
Whether it's a
regular
bar-
footed, or
No, like whether you become a regular somewhere, whether it's a bar, a coffee shop, a restaurant.
I
How
think
about your local surf shop?
the original sort of like refrain around this concept was cheers.
Yes. I mean, we all enjoy going somewhere where somebody knows you.
For you younger viewers, you may not understand what Cheers was. Cheers was a neighborhood bar in Boston where there was a number of characters that would show up frequently enough to be known by name. All their
Is this Cheers or First? Because it sounds like what goes on around here.
see, this is where we're getting in.
This is where I used to tell people all the time what I dislike about like a lot of the modern coffee shops. Where I grew up at, as you're walking, like you don't wait in line to order coffee. They see you walking up.
Says a Cuban.
And they already know. You wait in
Not
line
hating,
to
just
pay.
saying.
You know, you wait in line to pay. Because that's like your coffee shop. That's your
Right.
spot. There's a positive atmosphere. Just like come here, you know what's going on.
Right.
You know, like we're anywhere you go, you want to have that type of.
So that's like what you kind of look for.
You long for those things, and that's
Yes.
rare. The older I'm getting, the more the culture is changing. The more people value different aspects, and I think cities just morph into other things, and it could go back to that. And I think it's normal. Like when and why do you become a regular? You just are a regular. You have to develop that. It doesn't happen overnight. Those things don't. You can't just move to Miami and say, "Oh, I'm a regular." No, you gotta beat at its drum a little bit.
I kind of almost disagree with you.
Elaborate.
Because there's certain like interactions that I've had even traveling where like you stop long enough and you pause long enough to like give whatever. It could be like, let's go to the coffee shop example. Like the girl that's gonna make you your coffee, you give her the time of day. You know, say thank you, say please. All these. I mean, it sounds insane right
No, I
now
get
to
it,
say
I
it,
get it.
but like, if you just make that a little bit of an effort, it goes so far, and like all of a sudden you become like, if you go back to that coffee shop the next day, and she's working again, she would look at you, and be like, oh, I know what you want.
Just being the devil's advocate on that, I wonder what type of state of mind you are when you're traveling, and that you're not in that state of mind here. I'm just saying.
That's just because
I'm just saying. Like, so I know when I travel,
well, it's easier.
I'm a little bit.
Dude, for here, it's like that all the time.
I just
no
recently,
question.
I'm on 7th and Jefferson.
I mean, and sorry to interject
No, no.
because that was I mean, at that point, is it not where you could actually put yourself in that mind state,
sure.
like at all
No,
times? I
all
mean,
the
that's kind
time.
of like what staycations are about, right?
No.
You're trying to find a way to be able to just put yourself in that situation where you feel like you get the rest and the break that you really need, and sometimes doing things, little things like that.
I'm going to give you a quick perspective. 7th and Jefferson is where I live. And there's a coffee shop called Las Olas. We all know Las Olas. I go to Las Olas, and I feel like the people there are a little jaded. They're a little wore in. My perspective.
Sure.
I grew up going to coffee shops, so
Yeah,
I know how to
yeah,
interact
yeah.
in Spanish coffee shops.
Right.
Right? Like I know it very well.
Oh, yeah,
I
making
speak-
bean.
I speak the language. They just opened a new place called Palacio Los Jugos.
And in my new place, we mean a new version of
Yeah.
a very old
So
place.
it's a block over. You go in there, and it's just a fresh new place. Not only do we get jaded and numb to our surroundings, but so do the people.
Right.
Like their day-to-day existence, they have to deal with a lot of fuckery here. When you
Well
travel, it's all fresh and new.
Some
You
call
have a
that
different
tomfoolery.
posture.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's important to do that here and there.
Yes, of
You know,
course.
because like when you go there, they're dealing with the same dumbass people
They just
locally
get numb
there.
to their day-to-day life, the
So-
day-to-day culture, the day-to-day experience, the people. They get used to it,
Right.
And also, depending on the ethnicity of the coffee shop, man, culture is a big thing.
Right.
It's a big thing, and it drives a lot of like perspectives.
Well, look at back at Cheers.
Right.
Why are the characters in Cheers the characters in Cheers?
Right.
because they gave like some respect, authority, whatever it may be, to Ted Danson and then later what's her name, the two Diane and
Christy Alley.
yeah, exactly. And so it's because like
nobody listen to Woody. Sorry.
Yeah, seriously. Oh,
that
poor
beer
Woody.
sucks.
But
Whatever that is, that shit sucks.
Let's talk about the tea. Anyway.
we digress. But I mean, that's the point, is that they kind of participated,
Bathroom
out.
break.
That's I think the thing that kind of Rudy was saying is not about being a traveler, but like if you participate in the transaction equally, as opposed to being like serve me,
Right.
it becomes a different.
See, this is one of the things, going back to Rudy, when he was saying in regards to people being jaded and at their jobs and stuff like that. There was this thing that when I was working with Quicksilver and had the opportunity to travel around and train teams and stuff like that, there was great tools that our human resources and my mentor Dewey had kind of put in, a couple other people had put into effect, that we would train people with. And one of these was a video that was about the fish guys in Seattle. And the guys that toss fish.
Oh, the fishmongers from Seattle. Yeah, I know.
So,
Pike's Place or something, right?
And a lot of the gist of it was that it was based on choosing your attitude, right? You have the opportunity to choose your attitude every single day.
And perspective.
And these guys, right? And so these guys are doing the fish job every single day, and they're tossing fish, and it becomes, tiring after a while. You're doing day in, day out, and you can imagine that at some days you're waking up to have to go super early in the morning to go in and toss fish and do all this stuff and do it all day and answer people's questions. And it was amazing that this video was revolved around their lives and what they had to go through. But at the end of the day, that interaction with people is what they kind of lived for. And it reminded them that not every person knew what the other person had just asked, or this or that. Like, that's one of those things. It's like sometimes you get annoyed. Like, somebody might ask you the same question for the 5th time in a row, be a complete different person, but that person doesn't know that they're the 5th person that asked you that question. You do, but you have that opportunity to either choose to be like pissed and be like, really? And be short with the person and kind of go like that, or acknowledge and understand that that person doesn't know that they're the 5th person and be like, well, I've got an opportunity now to either enhance this experience or to go ahead and poop it.
Right.
And that was what was great about it. It was like these guys were like, I've got to choose my attitude every single day. I work hard, I got to do all this, but I have that choice. I can either be Mr. Poopy Pants on the laws, or I can go, God, it's so hard not to curse. And it's, or I can go ahead.
Just words, you could say that.
I know. Or I can go ahead and make somebody's day, which is more than likely the case. Imagine you catch a fish and you go ahead and put a funny fish face in front of somebody, like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." All of a sudden they make them laugh. I just made you laugh. And
Pretty easy. I laugh easy.
So this experience will last with them.
How and why to become a regular? I think you gotta want to become a regular. You gotta want to be in the right place to become a regular.
I look at this from a perspective of the people that are creating the location to have people be regulars. Like the person that is creating the cheers, the person that's creating the first serve shop and stuff like that. The responsibility that you have and what you do daily and how you do it in order for the regulars to come in and want to be part of it.
Well, I'm a regular because you created that atmosphere.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
You created an atmosphere that I gravitate towards because our ideals meet.
Right.
And the way that started is based off, I see this as a sculpture, right? As a piece of art. You create this, I come in here, I
Either
magnet
it does something for you or it doesn't.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, I'm not a regular. And
Right.
if it does, same thing with the coffee shop. I go
Right.
in there, and that's the atmosphere that I'm looking for in the morning. So I'm like, oh, I want to do this. You do it twice, 4th, and you're like, these people are great. I'm grateful.
But there's
And you
like
wanna give back.
there's a
That's-
weird like mutual acknowledgement, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Like it's like
Very
if Rudy
tribal.
if
Very,
Rudy
very
came in a couple of times and somehow you saw it, because he has to try to become a regular. I guess is what I'm saying. And it's like the same way that it happens at Cheers.
Right.
It's like he's
Yeah.
normie
Yeah.
at the corner of the bar
Right.
telling about this crap that he just had to deal with in like the latest. What does Norm do? He's an insurance salesman. Cliff was the post office
Post
guy.
office. Norm was drunk. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. No.
You guys trying to say I was drunk?
What does Norm do?
You guys
I
don't
don't
know
want
what
to
I'm
use
doing.
him as Norm.
Yeah, Normie.
What if he's what
Cliff
if
was
he's
the post office guy
what if he's
everyone
a
knew.
psychologist? What if he's
Great.
what's his name? Kramer.
No, because there was Kramer, and he was in the show.
Right. Which Kramer? Are we talking Jerry Springer Kramer or Jerry Springer? Jerry
No, that was Dr. Kramer.
Yes, I knew I was right. God, thank God. Yeah.
We're doing all the characters from Cheers.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point was like all those people put in and they got out. And I think that's the point I was trying to make in terms of like becoming a regular, because I feel like I want to be a good patron.
Right.
And so I feel like if I could become a regular, if I live there long enough, as a tourist.
Would you
know what I
continue
mean?
to be a regular somewhere if the faces that you saw there changed all the time?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. If I couldn't gain I could have somewhat of a connection to the location, but if it's not to you, I don't.
Because
feel
I've
comfortable.
noticed
But that's
that
what a
with certain
brand
companies.
is.
I noticed that with certain companies where whether it was a juice shop or coffee shop or this and that, and they kind of move some of their top staff around.
I can't do that. No bueno.
People come to a certain place because there's that recognition,
It's
both
like
of
the pretty girl.
right. Because at the same
or-
time, once you move people around, that next person's not going to know that you're a regular unless
Yeah.
you keep coming to that place and unless they're there to keep sticking around for that.
Or
But
like,
sometimes
there's-
people don't want to be introduced to a new person. They're like, I kind of liked what we just had.
Where's the guy that already knows what I want? I gotta explain
Yeah.
this to you
That's a
again?
different thing.
Right.
That's a wholly different thing.
But what if
and I
that's
agree.
that
Oh,
guy
yes.
was a girl?
Hang on one second.
She
So
was hot.
it's a wholly different thing, and the best customer service brands in the entire world know that. And so it's kind of like hotels are really good at this. And so they'll be like, oh, last time,
Yeah.
Rudy or Chris stayed with us, they wanted the Wall Street Journal delivered to them.
Right.
So you go
Why
to
not?
Houston and they have the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
You're like, wow, that's
Right.
incredible.
So there's technology that obviously is
You know,
able to kind of play into this
it's
situation.
right. So like you can do that store to store, but you can also be a good brand and say like, this is what we stand for. So all of our employees stand for that, and I think that's like comforting too. And I know that actually
It's so
here,
much harder though to execute.
I don't come
that.
to talk to you. I come
Really?
to the shop
No, I
thought I had some
for me,
sort of-
like
because
it's not the same.
I know that because I've come here and I've talked to anybody who's been behind this counter that I get to sit behind once a week, and I mean, it's not the same, but it's on brand.
Right.
And that to me is like really important. Like Jovan was here the other day, and I came in to like eat lunch, and we wound up talking about like all the women's stuff that you got that he was unpacking, and I was like, this is hysterical.
Well, you have it's a
You know?
relationship.
That's
It's the same. Yeah, I get what you mean.
And it could have been,
He's a cool dude. It's
but I think it's a testament to the brand, and that's like
But we also don't have turnover here where you're going to see somebody new. Like imagine that if you had somebody new every 3 months behind the counter that you had to kind of get to know and stuff like that, that gets...
But if she's hot, I'm down.
it could be tiresome.
I'm
but I would
telling you,
also,
she didn't got to know how to use the register. I'd help her.
but look, if they fulfill on like
fixes
these
everything.
the surf shop needs that I have, then it's fine. She can talk good story.
Right.
Dude, you gotta talk. I don't
you
care.
know?
Just hang out.
But that is on the owner,
See what I'm saying?
whoever
It's okay with that.
is operating the process that understands and acknowledges that value. Because there's a lot of people that don't. That say, I acknowledge you as being a really good person here. I know a lot of people like that, but I'm going to pull you because I need you over here. I'm going to need you over here. I'm going to need you over here.
That
And all of a sudden,
happens.
once you start pulling people off, then all of a sudden that one place that was awesome and consistent sometimes drops in sales.
So you do want to facilitate a regular, like sort of interaction on both sides, because people
People go
want-
to bars for that.
Right.
I know
or
that
a hot
I've
girl.
gone to bars and
There's only like
I'll like
seven.
if I have a choice of going to different bars, I'll be like, well, which one of the bars that I want to go to do I know somebody? Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's nice. It's nice that you walk up and it's just like, hey, what's up? How's it going? And already before you know it, there's a couple beers going on, or that they go ahead and jump the 16 other people in line in front of you and they do the whole like, psst, psst, psst,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they make it happen. All of a sudden,
Cuban
it's like,
coffee shop
I love
style.
this place. I'm going to keep coming here.
Yeah.
And that's where my dollars keep going to. And if you're someone that wants those dollars to keep coming to you, why would you not try to facilitate that in some way?
Well, I think that's the part that we should. I take it always on myself. So if you want to become a regular, I think it's important to show that
gotta
you
work
want to be a
on it.
regular. So when you see people that are like busting their ass and the whole thing is all screwed up, you'd be like, hey, good luck, and like give an extra tip, or be like, you know what? I see you're super crazy busy. It's all good. I'll see you tomorrow. And they
Even a
see you.
smile.
Yeah, they see you
Wow,
like
for
leave
sure.
and like come back later, and they're like, "What was that about?" And you're like, "Oh, I saw you're like crazy. I can come back. It's not a big deal." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's so nice of you." And like, what? You're just being a normal human being.
It's relationships.
Right.
We build it on friendships and stuff like that. No, we don't all gravitate towards each other, but when you do find an energy or a conversation or a person you gravitate to, you want to continue to gravitate towards it. You're just like, I kind of like you, and get more than
Are you
just
guys gonna make out right now?
easy killer.
Moving on to the next topic, then.
Dun, dun, dun.
This one has played heavy lately.
Yeah.
Oof.
Good
And
topic.
Watching-
and on some minds playing real raw.
So, got a lot of people trying to move to surf.
Apparently,
And,
you can move to Waco, Texas, and surf.
Yeah. So,
So there's an option.
Not the same.
I mean, this is.
I don't know. I saw some pictures today from some of the boys that are out there right now, and I'm just like,
Well, it's changing the paradigm. And if you want to get more into that, watch last week's episode. Look at me. I'm like becoming like one of those YouTube guys.
this is so.
And dig through
like-
like the
But it's
whole
what we have to
archive,
do.
'cause it's
We
come
have-
out
we-
half a
we
dozen
gotta have
times.
to-
DJ or
like,
something.
shoot.
Now coming in, Roxanne.
I mean, part of me saying wonders if like,
Cinnamon.
if like we should be like, hey, these are some of the things I like to do. What do you like to do? Nothing. Never mind.
So the whole idea is here. Will you move to surf? Have you moved to surf? Are you going to move to surf? Because apparently, a lot
I
of friends of
kinda did.
ours are not happy about the
Already.
current
Yeah.
situation.
Moved from mainland United
I
States.
think it's
and
more
came
to
here.
it. I think surfing is a
Joey,
lifestyle,
Jerome.
right? Like, surfing isn't just surfing. People who don't move for surfing is because surfing isn't that much embedded in their lifestyle in a way.
Is there other things like that though, like fishing or golfing or
Golfing,
whatever?
you could, no, surfing,
Skiing?
you're kind of
Skiing. Yeah, it's close.
like the ocean dictates
probably
how
the
much.
closest.
There's
you're
surf
gonna
bums and there's ski bums. I don't know if there's like curling bums. Is there?
I
They're
think-
You
like,
gotta
they
be
like,
somewhere cold.
they
that's
like-
all.
That is
they
a
like-
sport that I've wanted to get
they
into.
all like moved to Winnipeg.
My brother does
Hey.
that. Come to Colorado, I'll hook you up.
We all recognize that Miami has the least surf comparison to other major cities in the United States.
Not in major cities.
Coastal.
Sheboygan's probably.
Well, probably close.
But I mean, it's third behind New York and
Right.
LA.
What is?
The surf here in Miami.
Ah.
It just is. I just came from
Easily.
LA. It just
Yeah,
is. It's
right.
summertime in LA. I surf. It's
So
whatever
I mean,
want.
but there's
Okay,
here's
you're
the
right.
thing. Let me like when I lived in Hawaii, I was so much more of a relaxed state because I knew I could just work, and then when I wanted to surf, I surfed, and
You
then
pick-
it
you
was
pick
never
your
like
beach.
this. But growing up here my whole life, and a lot of people that I knew, they either had jobs that facilitated them to be able to surf whenever.
Wait,
going up
where are
coast.
we? We're in Miami.
Miami, I know.
How did you wind up here again?
From Hawaii?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Right. I know, it was on a whim. I mean, it was the same opportunity that got me out to Hawaii. Listen, I'm a feeler of types of guy. Like, there's no
he
real
feels.
rhyme
You
or
say
reason.
feeler type
There's
of
just one of
guy-
those
of
things
guy?
where, like,
Is that what he said?
I'm a
That's what I
feeling.
heard.
I'm a
I'm trying to
feeler
straighten
kind of
stuff
guy.
out.
I'm not feeling on guys.
Fucking
I mean,
hey.
it's
Wrong kind of party.
Miami.
kind of next week on Thank You Surfing. Feeling up on guys. JK. But I'm just one of those persons that like certain moments happen in your life, windows of opportunity. It just feels right, so you got to take it. You don't know why, but you got to
Yeah.
do it. There was an opportunity to come back home after about a year out in Hawaii, and I didn't know why, but I mean things just developed. Within 2 weeks of being back home, I got a job with Quicksilver and started my world in retail that I'd never had been before, and here I am.
All right,
20
so
years
topic
later.
is moving for surfing, and you moved for a surfing brand.
Right, well,
I think that counts. I'm pretty sure that you're under
I
the
didn't-
umbrella
but
there.
I didn't know I was going to work for them until I moved back.
Oh.
So I moved back on a whim,
Oh.
and I just kind of moved here, and I'm like, I really don't know what I'm going to do. And then within a couple weeks, a buddy of mine that was close was just like, hey, Quicksilver's opening up a store in Collins Avenue.
I think we have a really good opportunity to develop on that question.
What
Like, of moving for surfing.
Uh-huh.
I think it's something we could really build off.
Go on.
And like I was saying earlier before we started the podcast, sorry to cut you off. I don't know
No,
if you were done.
no cut off.
But I think people make or they sculpt their life from the wrong angle. People like, you get out of high school and you got to look for a job. And then they go to college and they're going to get a degree and they're going to get a job and they don't have enough life under their belt to make decisions. My perspective, I'm sure there are exceptions to everything, and there are savants and all that shit. They know exactly what they're doing and they cultivate a beautiful life. I think you need to move for what drives you, what makes you happy. In that process of you moving down here, something drove you and was beyond you, and you're like, I'm going to give this a go. There wasn't the end game to stay here. It cultivated this.
Well,
in the process.
let me stop you right there, Rudy,
Yeah.
because it's kind of funny because we've kind of assumed that people are willing to move in the first place here. Most people I know
Move to here or move from
Move
here?
in general.
move
They should.
From here. Out.
MOVE. Move from their hometown. Most people live and die very
wonder what the
close,
percentages are.
That sucks.
like enormously
Can I
large.
Google that, please?
Of people that live in a particular
Yeah,
town.
I'm gonna go. It's probably like 85% in the United States.
Yeah. So I was saying, I recently have had a big change. And I say to the first thing I ask myself, okay, what are the things that I like to do? Right? Like, it's pretty simple, very childish approach. I like surfing and I like shooting photos. And, I want to be disconnected from big cities and connected at the same time. Like, I want to have the ability to pull out, disappear.
Oh, the ocean's a good.
And I'm an email away from getting back in the grind. I like that ability. I love big cities and I love disconnecting.
Sounds like you're ripe for a camper.
So then you say to yourself, okay, where in the United States can I do that? I want to surf and shoot photos and work. I'm a photographer, so I need to work. You look around, I could do New York, Rockaway Beach is kind of cool. Oh, California, the industry. I follow the industry a little bit. Northern Spain.
But that's a different thing though, because you're talking about
surfing
areas,
is-
but areas that you could actually do your industry within.
But
So
I'm
you're
also
moving for your career and for your surfing.
But for me, surfing and my career are pretty connected.
Right, but they're like you're trying to find the concentric circles between the two.
Yeah.
Because if I was like,
Congeals.
if like I was like
Scrabble. later.
Chicago is a great fashion city or something.
Yeah, but I wouldn't live there.
Right.
I love surf.
That's the part of the moving for surfing.
Okay, so
now you're narrowing it down
let's
to
say surfing. All right, so I say I want to move for surfing. It's one of the reasons why I want to leave. I'm leaving Miami, by the way. August, I'm gone. So
For good?
this is very
no,
heartbreaking.
there is no for
folks.
good. That's
Oh, come on.
bad
Oh.
perspective.
Right.
We
Bad
got we got the rest of the
I'm always
episode
gonna
to
be
convince
here.
him.
I'm always going to be here in and out. I have too
Ladies and
many
gentlemen,
clients to
chime
retain
in
it.
whether you want Rudy to
So you
leave
say,
or not.
Oh,
you
gosh.
say to yourself,
I knew it was
okay,
coming.
I love surfing. Where can I work and surf? That's right. I love surfing. I'm moving for surfing. I need to surf more. So I say, I'm going to go touch LA a little bit. I go there for 10 days. I touch it. I'm like, this is interesting. There's an interesting cultivation of life here. I could produce something more than I have back home, and I'm happier. And there's more surf. Or can I do New York? Can I do the same? You start asking all these questions. And that's how you should base, like I was saying at the beginning, you should base your lifestyle off, what do I want to do? Okay, this is the things that I like. How do I monetize a lifestyle?
Does this get changed whether you're single or have a family?
It's different when you have a
It could.
family.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
It's
Googled
different when
it,
you have a family
and the
because-
best thing I came up with was New York Times says the typical American lives only 18 miles from mom. So there's
18
your
miles from mom.
Yeah.
Wow.
The average
Who
American.
knows what? I mean, it's New York Times and it's the headline, so who knows what that actually
Okay.
means?
18
But there's
miles from the
the
average.
closest answer I could
Saying
get
that
to
New
you.
York Times is fake
I-
news.
No?
That was very Joe Rogan of us.
Yeah, it's good.
Well
we got
done.
it. Yeah.
I mean, it took a
That
while,
was a
but I
plug.
got it.
JRE. So I think, yeah, of course that comes into play because you're not thinking alone. If I had to
That's
think
the
for
that's
more
the
than
big part, not
but-
thinking alone.
But
That-
if I
mean,
had to
that's
think
it,
for
that's the
more than one
distinction.
person,
That's why Brandon
I
is
could,
in
I
Bali
could
right
only
now.
hope.
I mean, no. I mean, Brendan could have a significant other. I don't know if he does or doesn't, but like, he or she or it could be totally fucking supportive of that and be like,
Sure.
yeah, go.
That's
That's
what I'm trying
great.
to say.
Or they could be like, no, I wish you were here because I need you here for such and such reason. And I mean,
Shit stinks.
that's a thing that moving for
Grab
surfing.
this mic.
changes.
No, for sure. If you have to take other people into consideration, like a partner, or if you're in a relationship, I can only hope that you've picked the right partner that could take you into consideration.
Well, you start throwing kids and everything else,
No,
and
of
all of a
course,
sudden you get planted, and it's a
But you
bigger
can move
move.
with kids.
You
It's a-
absolutely can.
yeah, it's a bigger-
It is not an impossibility. We put impossibilities into our life on things that are totally possible. So it's just one of those where it's how much does it mean to you?
That's always the question that I ask folks. And I think this is like, I want to like maybe get off the moving from surfing because I want to get into the next topic with you.
Yeah.
Especially. Oh,
Is that
I mean,
Bills?
can we go
Does that
live?
say Bills?
Costa Rica.
So-
I'll just you guys keep going for a while.
okay. Good idea.
I'll be right back.
Emergency.
No, it's not an emergency. I think
Someone
this
please call
this is a
911.
pura vida call.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, so lucky.
So
So I mean, I think the whole thing on like, if you want to move to surf, there's a lot to consider. You know,
but you should consider it. Life is short. Life is super
you know,
short.
actually, so earlier we were talking about moving for surfing, and someone asked a question about if you wanted to go to college or university somewhere, should you consider surfing?
Of course.
And for me, back in the day, it was a consideration. I wanted to go to a school for meteorology, and I wanted to go to school for meteorology.
Meteorology?
Yeah,
It's kind of cool.
I did. And on the coast.
You did it?
I did.
Fresh. Degree and shit.
I got 2 years of meteorology, and the last 2 years was in business.
That's fresh. You know about the whole kit. Huh?
I do.
We can
And-
talk
Not
shopping
just
now?
bullshitting this report. He
Are you
actually
trying
knows
to
what he's
fucking
talking
sell me a
about.
vacuum cleaner here?
No, I mean that's the whole
I
thing. And
went
like,
to school, all right?
yeah, I mean that's
I'm
it.
no dummy.
Moving for surfing. Like I chose a career path
Why'd you come to Miami? My God.
because they had a really good school for meteorology. One of the
So
best in
weird,
the
right?
country.
Miami, they have a real good school of meteorology.
Meteorology.
Yep. The National
not really that
Hurricane
weird.
Center is here, and I wanted
Lives
to be.
depend on it.
It really does.
You're gonna like say the weather and the whole kit? Mm-hmm. You do good at that.
Dude, he's skilled.
Yeah.
Fuck
So
all of it.
I moved here for surf forecasting actually, and then and then I moved back to New York, and some friends asked why I wasn't living here, and I didn't have a really good answer, so I moved back, and it turns out that I moved in a way for surfing. Like I live right here on the beach, on the spots, and I have a job that allows me to see when there's waves pretty much all the time.
We have pretty good lifestyles here.
So
must
I-
say.
It's not so bad. Considering we don't get to surf all the time, we
That's
still
fucking nice.
I haven't missed a swell here in like 5 years. Like literally, like without question.
Yeah.
things people that are off Miami Beach don't say.
And so,
For sure.
you know, I mean, it's not easy all the time, and I do need to plan my life around it. But I did move here in a way for surfing,
Right.
and I do surf here a lot, way more than people that do in
Not
Chicago
in the past 6 weeks.
or
Dude,
Wisconsin.
It's been a month
Miami
and a half,
has
right?
a pretty beach. It's very if you live in South Beach, you're privileged. Like,
That's the
I
whole thing.
Bicycle to the break. Right. It's
Yeah, you
super
go to your
privileged.
local cafe, you go to a
Yeah,
local bar, you go to a
super.
local restaurant.
Do
don't
I
have
do
that in
I
California.
do I
You go to a local
do I-
surf shop.
Do I wish it was more consistent? Sure. But you know what? Like I live here. I have a podcast that I do with these guys. I go to the local taco place. I skateboard to work. You can make it what you want.
Dude, it's about the whole
And-
big picture. It really is. Because for me, surfing is not it's not all of it.
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
some of it.
and
You're right.
And we're like 2 to 3 hours from Central America.
I mean, that wins. And that's what I tell people all the
my
time.
Goodness.
I'm like, that beats a lot of places, is that we have a lot of options within just 2 to 3 hours that a lot of people just don't
2
have.
to 3 hours is like a joke to the rest of the surfing population in the entire planet. I mean, we can go so far, so fast.
Dude, you
and
can be in Costa Rica at the same time it takes you to go to Orlando.
I'm a big fan of El Salvador.
exactly.
You're
It
like-
takes less time to.
Dude, and then what's great about down here is that even Puerto Rico swells. Like
Oh,
you
my
can see, go ahead and see,
goodness.
be like, hey, look, it's flat here. I see those waves just marching on down. Let me look it up. Oh,
And if you're-
$150 to Puerto Rico? No problem. I'll book it right now. Boom, you leave tomorrow, and then you get there that afternoon, and
Stumble
the
into the
following
plane.
day, the waves are
Perfect.
coming in, they're going off, and you're just like, that took me $150 and 45-minute flight. An hour
Will you
flight.
be my
But-
travel agent?
Got you.
Awesome.
I got you. All right, that's good. But yeah, just to end on this topic, moving for surfing, I think it's beyond that. And obviously it's not all about surfing, it's about the lifestyle. That's why I brought up at the beginning, you have to figure out what you want out of life, even if surfing's in your life. And then you pick the right location.
Because look at it, really, surfing itself, like if you look at the actual standing up and riding of a wave,
I just thought of
woo, that is a tiny bit of time.
You know, surfing is very much like if you pick a girl,
Get ready.
like, let's say the 24 hours of a day.
Should we say earmuffs?
Yeah, earmuffs.
Drop a
Is
marker
it
right
after a
here.
certain time? What time is
I'm
it?
gonna lose that train of
It's after
thought.
9. All right, go.
So if you pick a girl just because she gives good head and fucks really
Oh
good,
boy, here we go.
that only happens small bursts. It's only a small burst. You gotta pick a girl that you enjoy hanging out with. She's cool around your friends.
Where's that beach channel?
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. That's what happens to get. Oh, but you gotta think about this. It correlates to surfing and cities and moving. It's on topic here, guys. So we're developing.
I so really want to get into this with you, but I'm so scared of Bradley's ire. I really am.
What is that? Is that like a cop or something?
Who?
Okay.
No, Bradley ire.
Oh, that's me. All right, so I'll tone it down.
All right, so we got it. Let's move to the next topic here.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm kind of scared to move to the next topic even. Mid-lanes. How can Rudy turn this into something that is not
So we're not talking about surfboards? Yeah. Hey, so how about this mid-length on my leg?
So,
Is that 8.5 mid-length?
so this guy over here, Rudy, has been talking a lot about surfing boards in between short and long, somewhere in the middle.
Never had an
I'm
issue.
crying.
Yeah, mid-lengths are, man, those are the Baja Panty. No, those are the crushers. And the mid-lengths are the crush. I think if you don't have a mid-length, you're missing out on so much fun.
But what is it? What is it? What is
he
it?
said it.
What
He said it. He said it already. What are you missing on? I'm gonna take the words out of your mouth because that
You
is
took
what
it.
you wanted. Yes.
Yeah.
Fun. Interesting point. Surfing can be fun, huh?
Is a mid-length a fun shape?
No. I think a
mid-length
mid is for
define a
fun.
mid-length.
Yeah, like a mid-length would be something, at my perspective, you could have different types of mid-length. There's holes, there's, very modern contoured bottoms.
The
There's-
fun board shape that you're talking
What I
about.
think mid-length is helping you out is it has that much more foam that lets you get into smaller waves.
Foam is your friend.
And lets you get into bigger waves earlier.
Uh-huh.
So
Sure.
there's little perspectives.
It's so
in it.
maneuverable.
Yeah, depending on the
But I feel like the
contours.
mid-length
paddles
perspective and outcome is different here than it would be in places like California.
better. Depending on the wave,
Interesting.
also, it's a big deal. Like I don't think I could surf the same mid-length here that I could in California. It wouldn't be the same.
That's true.
I want more rocker here.
I mean, it's the same thing. I got a 9.6 Christensen that would work epic and point breaks or places in California.
I'll take that with me if you'd like. No problem. We can work something out.
But I've ridden only a couple times, a handful of times here because it
rode
only
it.
works
Mid-length
on
is
certain
nine. You
swells.
said it's 9.6.
9.6.
It's not a mid-length.
No, I know, but I'm just saying in general, as far as
Sexy as fuck.
as far as a board, what I was going at was the
What are you
difference
going?
between places. The difference between
What's
California
the
surf
for
and
there?
Florida surf, and then how a mid-length applies to there as it does here, and more so. That's where I got into the 9.6 Christensen. Was that this 9.6 Christensen is 3 different boards within one.
How do I work?
And
How do I get that? You can't have that here.
you
Come on.
start talking
Put the
sweet
pressure
talk.
on.
Oh boy,
That's-
look
I'm
at
going to California,
This
dude.
is not a negotiation, gentlemen.
can
We're
work
talking about mid lanes. So here's the thing about mid lanes that I kind of got this thing going probably from my early surfing career because it was, look, I wanted to rip. I saw the guys in the magazine. I'm like
Shred.
momentum era. That's how I wanted to surf, and of course, I bought, a board that would be somewhere in that range. And of course, it was a terrible idea. And someone, thankfully, Unsound, what's up, guys, said, hey, you guys may want to get a more full, basically a mid-length. And I was so against it,
Again, the reason being extra foam to get into the wave quicker,
What size is the
get to your
mid-length?
feet
How do you
better,
categorize?
but not as long as a longboard, so that it allowed you for maneuverability to be able to kind of turn. your
Yeah,
fin
I'm
and
like a
stuff like that.
13-year-old kid. I'm like barely prepubescent, just
That's why
trying
they
to
call them
like
fun shapes.
trying to like manage this giant board or little board, and like the whole idea is you want to catch waves and you want to have fun.
Right.
And mid-length for a beginner surfer, or like not necessarily beginner, but like right after beginner, because I think maybe like longboard, stand-up paddle, even
Foamy
yeah,
for
giant foamy to like push them into their first wave, get them excited about it is probably a good idea.
Right.
But if you want to progress past that and like actually get into the sport, I think a mid-length is the way to go. And I think that actually a mid-length would be a really good addition to any moderately good,
Dude, mid-lengths are
somewhat overweight hobbyist surfer.
I
now.
surf mid-lengths so much. They're so much fun.
But you actually are a competent surfer.
Yeah, I love mid-lengths.
And I think that it would be interesting to see if like other people that weren't as competent actually got onto a mid-length, because I think they'd like smile.
The
a
first
lot.
board I had was a mid-length.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
You're also
Is that what you
like
learned on?
7.0.
you're also not part of the equation, because you've managed to somehow
Too
like
many people buy boards too
avoid the crappy part of surfing, which
Yeah.
is like when you
Yeah.
think you're Kelly Slater, and you
And
can't.
then you go to your local surf shop and they tell,
Yeah.
and they break
No,
those
for
dreams.
sure.
They
Mid-lengths.
break those dreams.
It's just
That's what
one of
we're
those
here
things
for,
where I'm
dream
like,
breakers.
and again, also, the better your skill set is, the better you could pick the right board. Then you have a mid-length for when the waves are good. You have a mid-length
Right. So
for
this
when
is-
it's mushy waves.
This is the whole other thing about
Yeah.
mid-lanes so I was talking about it from a beginner perspective, which I think is important to notice, because a lot of
They're coming
beginners
back.
think that they want to surf a short board or a fish, or they want to surf a long board. But there's this whole range in between that's kind of like not easy to describe.
Sure.
And I think that's the place that most surfers probably belong, whether they're beginner or even like intermediate or advanced when the waves are kind of cruddy. I wish I had a mid-length now.
Yeah.
I mean, like a
You
7.
kind of have a mid-length.
I have like a 7.0. But
Like,
like,
not a mid-length?
I guess. Yeah, it counts.
That's a mid-length.
It
What
definitely
would it be
counts.
if it's not a mid-length?
Well, I would say it's weird.
It's weird. It's not a mid-length. It's not a short board,
More
it's
than
not a
anything,
long
it's
board.
weird. But
I think,
yeah.
I seen you surf the things way mid-length.
Yeah. All right,
got
fine.
one similar to
All right,
that.
fine. It's a mid-length. Yeah. In the context of this conversation, it's definitely mid-length. But the point is, there is like fun boards. There's mini short boards.
Yeah.
There's like mini planing holes or mid-length.
Fishes, like
yeah.
that.
I mean, a 7.0 mini Simmons.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seen
or
it.
a 7.0 Simmons even.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, that's a whole other kind of mid-length.
Right.
And I think that because of the way surfing has kind of progressed, I may be dropping some new things here, but because of the way surfing's progressed, we've gone one side of the spectrum, longboard, or the other, super short board. What's happening in the middle?
Well, I travel with two boards. I have a 7.2 mid-length, and I have a 5.2 fish. Like, and both of them very little rocker. They, I can surf the fish in super small waves. Those are my go.
Right.
I don't go up coast without those two boards. The only time I would even consider a longboard, I wanted those two boards are my go-to because I can surf.
What
that
about you at the
mid-length
shop?
on
You
small.
sell a lot of like these middle length boards, and I would call like anything like a middle length board probably from like a very like kind of like a skinny girl, skinny guy, 6'7", to a 8.0.
Right. Well, one of the things I was going to highlight in this conversation more than anything else, and just hearing what you guys are saying, was that we have a unique challenge here. It's a lack of surf. You know, and more
Here in
than,
Miami Beach.
Right, Miami Beach. We have a lack
Very
of surf,
sad.
and aside that, we have a lack of surf culture. So you have a surf culture in the sense that it's embedded within our DNA, like places like California, Hawaii, and stuff like that, where you have generations that have been born and raised
Fucking
around it
love
and stuff like
California.
that. And that's what's great
We
about
know that, Rudy, already. We know that. Stop saying that.
and so
Long
within
girls,
within the
freckles.
lack of
You're not helping.
consistency, a lack of consistency, you're driven to riding certain types of boards. So, for example, you don't find a lot of used longboards out there for sale. because most people hold on to longboards because it's, one of those things where if you want to get in the water,
Because they only get to use those
Right.
10 times a year.
right. And then on anything else, this and that. So with us, when we're kind of
I'm just
teaching
teasing.
people or
Sorry,
moving
Caleb.
forward on things, it's like, yes, so let me explain to you how this works. And we really have to go ahead and teach people the full spectrum. You're just like, longboard, fun shape, shortboard. This is what they apply to. Longboard is that beginner or the person that knows what they're doing and are able to kind of handle it. Fun shape becomes that person that likes all the volume in a longboard to be able to catch waves, but want to be able to, I don't know, turn it, that understands that's able to kind of address it like a somewhat of a shortboard, but has all the perks of the volume that's necessary to be able to catch the wave and catch it. And then the shortboard is the guy that knows what he's doing and stuff like that. Now, granted, I've steered people that are just learning on shortboards, but it usually means that they're under 20. Because what ends up happening is that people are a little bit younger. They're not, I guess, as weighed down with how things work, and they're kind of more open to the
getting
mechanics
worked.
of how surfing works. That there's no preconceived idea in it. You tell them this is what you're supposed to do. This is how it's supposed to handle, and they do it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's almost as if we all should be like. And it's weird because
The younger ones?
Yeah, I've taught people from young to old,
Really?
and I find that younger people pick up things way quicker than older people, or they're able to apply the mechanics of surfing way quicker and better and faster than someone that's a little bit older. Because as we get older, as we get to a certain point, we somehow
Caleb, make a note on that. This is a whole other thing to talk about.
as we get older and as we get to a certain point, we
Write
tend
that
to
down.
find a way
As
to
we-
tell
learning,
ourselves
you know?
how we can't do something.
Bring it back to mid lanes.
But as when you're younger, you're able to go ahead and there's no restrictions and limitations and stuff like that. So mid-lengths becomes that board that allows you to be able to catch the waves like a longboard, but able to kind of turn it for the most part like a shortboard. So in explaining that to people, because there's a lot of people like, well, I don't want a longboard, I don't want
I
to
think
have this
mid-lengths helps
bigger
you paddle.
board where the
Big paddle board.
right. So
That is the whole. Dude.
What?
So,
Paddle.
the paddle power that you get in the mid-length.
so like.
Right. So it's a paddle power that you get on a longboard, but once you get to your feet, you're able actually to turn it.
Yeah.
Longboard,
no, it's not
paddling
just that.
out, duck diving,
Right.
it gets complicated.
All those things.
So these are the things that, like, if you look at the whole, oh my gosh, I'm going to consultant now. Sorry. If you look at a value chain from like trying to achieve surfing, like the joy that you get out of it, there's many things you need to do. Figure out what the waves you're going to be doing, have the right equipment, yada yada yada. When you get to like the point of catching a wave, that's like the break point, because all the other stuff doesn't matter that much. You're already there. And so if you can actually just catch waves, you will be surfing. That's what you want to be doing in the first place. And so like the ability to not turn as much just completely like gets washed out the door to me, because if you catch waves, you're catching waves. And I've thought about this for
But if
myself.
you're catching a wave, you're like, after the fourth wave, you're like, I got this. What's next?
Yeah.
A lot of people, as soon as they're like, okay, I got this standing
I got
up part.
you.
I
Fine.
popped up a few times. Okay, what's next? Because at the end of the day, they've watched surf movies or surf videos, and they're saying, I like the way that these guys are turning. What is this thing? The tube. How do I get in this thing?
If you can get someone 4 waves in a day, I'd be like, day is done. Let's go get a beer
Right,
and
but
some tacos.
That's in one day,
because
right?
This is
and this is the
phenomenal.
beautiful thing about surfing that is what we teach and what we promote and what we still chase is the fact that you never master it.
No,
It is a
right.
forever.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a
That's
forever
the part
love.
I'm just like-
It is a
That's something I wanna
forever
talk
challenge.
about.
It is forever going after. So when you see somebody pick up on it, you're stoked for them because you're like, okay, now your legs in the door. You've got the taste. You've got the feeling in you.
That's what mid-lanes
and they want to know more.
I want to talk about mid-lengths, not for the beginners, but for the avid surfer, the experienced surfer.
Yes, this is what I want to get into.
That's something that I've been seeing a lot. I just came from California, and I saw some shredders on logs and mid-lengths, like, 7.6s. That's kind of like an average mid-length size.
Yep.
Where the lines that they draw, if it's a hole, they're surfing with their feet together. If it's modern contours. It's just a different line. And
Right.
you see that.
You're
more
absolutely
often.
right. We have a local surfer here up at Holliver, Adam Horowitz, that is a phenomenal shortboarder. But for a lot of us dads, as we get older, put on a couple weight, a couple pounds for weight, and all of a sudden
You
you're
do?
like, and no,
That
shocker, right?
pregnancy,
I mean,
that pregnancy weight really just
svelte
it's
look
hard to get
confuses you,
rid
doesn't
of,
it?
isn't it?
Well, anyways, so you see somebody like Adam that gets older, puts on a few pounds, and jumps onto a 7.2 and 7.4. He's getting into waves a lot faster. He's getting barreled, and he is fucking ripping the top off of waves.
Yeah.
And it's
The
really
board suits him
right,
and the wave.
right, and it allows a shortboarder, somebody that's got some sort of skill, to say, I just need to fucking equalate this
Does
whole.
that just mean that when you get old, you get smarter?
Well, I
Some
mean,
say.
definitely.
In
Some
theory, not
It's
all
not for
people.
everyone.
Not all people.
Just because you're old doesn't mean
Right.
you're smart.
Right.
Like
But
it just means you're
I
old.
would, I would hope that
But
would.
the cool thing about having more
Survival of
board,
the fittest still plays.
the
in.
cool thing about having more foam, not only the paddle power, but there's sections to the board. That's something I've noticed with shaping and playing around with boards and surfing different mid lengths, where you could still have the hold of a short board in the rear end of the board.
That's
you
true.
could have a belly mid length of the board, and still have the rocker of a short board. And you have a few boards in one.
Sure.
So
He's
and
gotta
then
move
you
around.
have the foam to surf a waist high peeler.
Right, and of which your feet are moving more than you would if
You
you're
can
just planted
have
on a shortboard, right?
fun.
Usually
It's
on a
just-
shortboard, your feet are kind of planted. You might shuffle a little bit depending on
Yeah.
whether you're going to do a bottom turn or you're going to do a carve off the top. Your back foot might shuffle back and forth accordingly.
No.
But on the
It's-
mid-length and even longboards, your feet are really changing spots completely.
It's not for everyone. And again, what I like about surfing is that there's different genres of it. There's people that just chase barrels.
I think there's people that just don't understand that there is different genres. That's interesting to me
Yeah,
because
there's different genres in anything.
And that applies more so
That's-
down here than
that's
anywhere
right.
else.
And that's the whole thing is that you can, as you start to become like more aware as a
Yeah.
surfer, you're like, oh, surfing isn't singular. There's actually like, I mean, you
A
call
whole
them
thing.
genres or
Yeah.
whatever, but like I
Yeah,
didn't,
correct.
I never even thought of it these ways. Like I just would watch how someone else surfed or see a magazine cover or
I surf
You know?
my mid-length more than anything.
or like I'll do
Fun.
I'll do something like on my shortboard that I'd seen someone do on a mid length.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but it felt normal to me. And like maybe I look like a kook. I don't even know. But I'm just chasing like this thing that I see. And mid lanes for me has been
You don't surf much in mid-length.
I do when there's mid length waves.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I had waves more often, so that's the whole thing. Like, I have here at least this sort of idea that when the waves can be surfed by a shortboard, I will surf a shortboard. And when the waves require a longboard, I will ride a longboard. And I won't ride a longboard when I could have rode a
You
shortboard.
don't have a longboard.
Well, yeah, my
I mean,
longest,
that-
my longest board is 7.0. Sorry. So
I feel like it depends
mean,
on the
but-
person. I mean, there's so many different people that are water people that explore different aspects of enjoying surf, whether it's kite surfing, paddle surfing.
Well, this is
now
kind of what I'm
foil
describing.
Surfing, body surfing, nonetheless.
Well,
Where
like-
you have different conditions that
That's
technically
it.
cater towards different boards.
Right.
But there are certain situations where there is a condition that says, "Hey, you should probably be on a shortboard." Where a kite surfer's like, "Nah, I kind of like
But most
enjoying.
of the
I
time-
enjoy tacking it like this." Or a paddle surfer that's just like, "Yeah, I know it's like shoulder high, and I probably should be on a shortboard, but I'm gonna go ahead and just tackle
right,
it on a."
and I
You
don't get
surf a mid-length when you should be surfing a shortboard. You don't have to surf a shortboard. And I'm not saying when it's turned on, but when it's shoulder high.
I think the mid length becomes a shortboard at any point when there's real waves.
Yeah.
You know,
can surf
and it's
I don't know about that.
but it's contingent on what you're feeling, you know. But that's the individuality of
South Beach is
surfing.
very tricky because
But
it
that's-
gets very
but that's-
dumpy really quick.
But I think again, like your board selection, just like your board short selection, of which we have a lot here at First Surf Shop.
.com.
It's contingent on personality and vibe and like what you're looking for. Because I know that personally, there's been plenty of times that the waves are calm for a shortboard, and I'll just jump on a longboard because all of a sudden it's like, how often do I get to surf real good
This is what I'm
surf?
talking about.
And again, but that's because we live in Miami.
Yeah.
Where it's like that random opportunity to go ahead and do this and this. And you're
Back
like,
to
oh my
topic
God,
number
can I just
2?
stuff my face with everything else in it? You're just like, I'm gonna bring my shortboard out, I'm gonna bring my
I
med blank
bring
out, I'm gonna
two
bring my
boards
longboard out.
every time. Every time I surf South Beach, I got the fish and the
I mean, so if we're gonna walk away from this situation and or topic and conversation, it's one of those that in Miami, you have yourself a challenging opportunity to approach waves.
But I wasn't trying to like when this topic came about. It wasn't like
I know.
Miami specific.
I know. But I like
Go
to
on. Go on.
please continue. I like to compare what it is that people that, because it's one of those where if you grew up with something that just seems natural and normal to you, like waves all the time, you don't understand the struggle. Whether, like, if you're a Californian or a Hawaiian, like, you know, you go somewhere and you're like, I can't surf for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month.
2 months.
Not because I'm so busy because I'm doing something, but because there really isn't any waves. Come on! How do you guys handle this?
Up.
What do you guys? And it's weird because people are like, "How do you even call yourself surfers? How do you this and that?" And it's
How I
because
feel.
it's one of those things where it's like so second nature. It's generational for them, where it's just like, this is what just happens. I don't understand. And you're like, yeah, welcome to the struggle. Want a beer?
I haven't even been exposed that long enough to even see that side of it.
It's terrible. I could tell
No.
you, like this flat spell right now,
How many weeks?
it's
4 weeks and counting.
No, it's way more than that.
No, it's not.
Caleb, the last time I
Cam
surfed
through
with
6
you,
weeks.
when was that?
I don't know, but I feel
That was
like
a
it
fuck
like
time
6.
ago, dude. It's stupid.
Alberto.
Whenever that was,
Oh yeah.
Was that late May?
Fate mate.
that's
I have the interweb.
4 weeks ago.
It's stupid.
That's a month. It's still long.
Long.
In,
it's like
in our
5 weeks.
worst period of the year. I know. What do you guys do? I mean, come on. It happens every year.
I know.
And we bitch about it every year.
Lived
I
here my
don't-
whole-
I
lived
don't.
here my whole life. I'm still not okay with it.
May 25th was Alberto. How long ago?
This
was
is
that?
when you need to like do Dr. Evil style.
was
Take care of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
We'll take care of those Bahamas.
Miami-
Rudy, we had
sure
waves a
take
month
care of
ago.
them.
Huh?
A month
go to
ago.
them.
Not
month?
6 weeks. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
It's
I
no
know.
way it was
but
a
it's
month.
a
It was
pig.
longer than that.
Uh,
I just googled
I
it.
have.
Get in a fight with Wikipedia.
Um,
Wikipedia's fake news. Rudy's probably right.
Perfect
Fake
opportunity.
fucking news.
let's
Wrap this thing
end
up.
this thing.
Fake
Rudy.
news. Go eat tacos.
Rudy,
Oh, that's a good idea.
thanks for coming.
Oh, no worries, guys.
I'm
Thanks
so
for having
happy you're back.
you. I love
I'm
you
not
guys,
happy you're
man.
leaving.
I'm
Happy
not
we talked
leaving
about
forever.
blah,
I mean,
blah,
I feel like
blah,
it's
blah.
almost official. You put it on TV. It's
know,
on the
but
internet.
I'm not leaving
on the
forever.
interwebs.
I think I'm
On
gonna
the
go.
internet, it must be true.
Yeah, every 5 weeks or 6 weeks, I'm gonna come back, spend a week or so here.
And the scary part is he can still catch every swell of the year doing that.
Yeah.
Oof. All right. Episode 24 in the books.
I love
June
you guys out there.
26th. This is a Tuesday. Who does this on a Tuesday?
Apparently us.
We do.
Just go to the bar.
Yeah, travel plans coming up. That's what we do.
That's it. Look for us coming on iTunes.
Yeah.
And
Going down.
Potentially.
What
on a
other
local-
podcast things?
Maybe what Stitcher? I think
Uh-huh.
it might be there.
Keep saying 'em.
Podcast Addict. That's what I like on Android.
Oh, he
That's
likes
a
it.
good app.
It's coming.
Anywhere you can find podcasts.
And
it's
we
gonna be
did
there.
get
We're gonna be on
solicited
Anchor.
from.
Solicited, is that like a negative thing?
No, it's not that. No, we got solicited to be on Beach Channel, which is a local.
Look at us.
So I shouldn't curse?
Well,
Fuck
and
ass
maybe
shit,
now it's
cunt,
fine, but
whore.
then right, and that's kind of pitched them. I'm like, here's an episode, and I chose the ones that you're not on. Okay. Actually, no, I chose one of them was the one that you were on.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but there's less cursing and less beer.
We'll just be
I mean,
on-
tea.
It's not beer.
We'll be on after
water.
9 p.m. That'll be fine.
Hey, I want to thank
we'll see how this
everybody
goes.
on my channel as well.
They're all
You guys
Oh, yeah.
put up with my bullshit.
You went
Rudy.
past an hour. They're
gone.
Oh, it's gone?
Yeah. And
It
you
turned
have low
off?
battery. It turned off.
All right. Well, anyway,
They saw the first.
But I'm gonna
part,
still
though.
talk to you as if it's still.
Rudy's audience, we love you. We know you've got followers,
Yeah.
lots of fans,
Good,
friends. We do.
It's always a good time,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
good. Thank you. Stay black, you three.
We'll
Thank you.
catch you guys next time.